Hello and welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast. Today I'm talking about the 5 things I wish I knew 10 years ago that would have just changed everything. And I know that you're going to listen to some of these and think, oh my goodness, that would have just so helped me had I known that. And if it is 10 years ago for you right now, well, then maybe you might want to take a bit of this on board. So 10 years ago, I was doing my best. Well, I thought I was at the time, which most of the time we do. Maybe you feel like I do. I was trying to get back on my feet. I was trying to make something work that wasn't going to. I was trying to start a business. I'd moved countries. I was probably people pleasing. I was definitely second guessing. I was overthinking. I was probably wearing the wrong damn lipstick color. But if I could sit down now and have a glass of wine with her, me 10 years ago, oh my goodness, here is what I would tell her. And like I said, maybe this is what you need to hear today. I would start with, it's okay not to have it all figured out. You grow clarity when you become more confident, and confidence comes after action, not before that. So don't feel like, here I am talking to me, don't feel like you have to have it all sorted out. You don't. It will become more clear when you become more confident. And here's the truth. Most people are just winging it way more than you think. We grow up with this unspoken rule that by a certain age, maybe it's 20, 30, 40, 50, we should have a plan and a partner and the career and the body and the houseplants all thriving and the washing hung up perfectly and everything sorted. And when we don't, we feel like we've failed. But what I've learned and what I wish I knew 10 years ago is that clarity isn't a starting point, it's a result. Hear that? Clarity is not a starting point, it is a result. And you don't find your purpose in a neat little box. You stumble onto it. You try things, you pivot. You say yes to things that scare you. And then you say no to the things that drain you. And then one day you look around and you realize you've built something that feels like home. I used to think that not knowing was a weakness, like I was behind. I'd dropped the ball, I'd missed the boat, I'd done all of that. But now, not now. Not knowing means you're open. It means you're growing. You're in motion. And that's where all the magic lives. So if you feel like you're fumbling forward right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Just don't stop. Keep taking those messy, brave little steps. You will get there. And like I said, clarity isn't a starting point. It's a result. You will get there. Okay, what's the next thing I would love to tell myself of 10 years ago? Is not everyone needs to approve of your choices. Seriously, the right people won't flinch when you shine. Here's the thing. If you're waiting for the universal approval, you'll be waiting forever. 10 years ago, I wasted so much time tweaking my decisions, watering down my ideas, even shelving dreams to keep other people comfortable. I thought, what if I could just make everyone happy? Then I'd feel secure in what I was doing. But the truth, chasing approval is a moving target and it will never bring you peace. What I know is that the right people, the ones that really matter, don't flinch when you grow. They won't guilt you when you make bold choices. They won't make you feel threatened by your light. In fact, they will cheer louder. They'll hand you the mic. They'll make a space for you at the table, or they'll help you build a better one. It's okay if not everyone gets it. It's okay if people fall away. That's not failure, that's filtering. Maybe it's time to filter for you. Do you need to filter? Your job is to not earn approval. Your job is to honor your truth. And when you do, confidence grows every single time. I used to constantly fret about social media, worry about who saw me and what they would think of me and who does she think she is. That was a constant thought in my mind, but now I do not care. I'm not for everybody. I am for some people. Love me, don't love me, it doesn't matter. I know that I make an impact and I help people like you. So it doesn't matter what other people think. And just like I said, chasing approval is a moving target and it will never, ever bring peace. The next thing I would tell me of 10 years ago is that perfection is the ultimate confidence killer. I see this every day. And I say now, 80% done is better than 100% not started. Messy is magic. And I learned that off a coach of mine once, Kat Miller. And she said to me, Hilary, just do it. Just get started, because I was stuck at that point, worrying about what people would think of me. Who does she think she is? All of that stuff was going on and on in my head. And that had to go. But I also needed that right person to just give me that piece of encouragement, to push me that little bit, to help me step outside of my comfort zone, because it was safe staying in there. And I've talked about that so often. We get that little ring around us, that ring of confidence, and we don't like stepping out of it, even though we don't like being in there. So perfection, it's a high standard, right? But it's something to aim for. That's all. It's just something to aim for. It's not a standard. It's when you put it in place as a standard, you'll never achieve it. It's a stalling tactic, really. It's fear dressed up as ambition. And sometimes we do that. Hear that. It is fear dressed up as ambition. So what we do is we think it's got to be perfect before we take steps forward. But really what we're doing is putting off taking steps forward because it's easier not to. 10 years ago, I thought, I had to get everything just right. And I launched into things and then I pulled back, and everything that I started doing 10 years ago, I'm still doing now. And now I'm doing them unapologetically. I'm doing them with energy. I'm doing them with everything I want to. Whereas before, when I did it, I'd do it for a little bit and then I'd retract back and I would delete things. I just stopped doing stuff because I was too scared. I thought I had to be perfect, and I was worried about what other people would think. So perfection was really paralysis. It stopped me putting my work forward. It stopped me speaking up. It stopped me moving forward. Now I know confidence isn't built in the polishing stage. It's built in the doing stage, the messy, awkward human doing, not human being. You don't get confident by being flawless. You get confident by showing up anyway, flaws and all. Me today on this podcast, I'm not looking perfect, but I'm doing it anyway because it's about the message, and it will become more perfect as I do it. So here's the new standard: progress over perfection, courage over polish, action over approval. If it's 80% ready, then it's ready. Press post, launch that thing, say those words, just go do it anyway, because done is way better than not done. And you've just got to take those steps. And also, because done isn't better than perfect, it's what builds the life you actually want. The next one: how to speak to yourself is absolutely everything. You can't build a fabulous life on self-criticism. You've got to be your own hype person, your own hype woman, your own hype man. You've got to be that person that talks you up. If I could sit my younger self down and say this: babe, you're not unmotivated. You're just exhausted from arguing with yourself all day. You're exhausted from listening to that inner critic. You're just exhausted from stuff you shouldn't have to be, one, thinking about saying, and two, even listening to. The way we talk to ourselves, those quiet little inner conversations, they shape how we show up in the world. And 10 years ago, I didn't even realize how brutal I was to myself, constantly second guessing, downplaying my strengths, starting every sentence in my head with, who do you think you are? And calling it humility. Spoiler alert, it wasn't confidence. It was just about standing tall in the room. It's about what you say to yourself when you're alone. Would you say that stuff to your best friend? And that's the saying we hear so often. You should talk to yourself like you would your best friend. But often when we're so used to hearing these statements, these slogans, because of the internet, it's showing us all of the time people putting nice music behind statements that say, talk to yourself like your best friend, and all sorts of things. They've become watered down. But ask yourself, do you honestly talk to yourself like your best friend? Because if you don't, you need to change the way you're doing things, because it's not okay to talk to yourself in a negative way. That's not okay. And your self-talk is your inner environment. It's your soil. It's where you're growing. We plant a seed, we water it, and it grows. That's your inner environment. That's your soil. And the confidence that you need will not grow in poisoned ground. So when you're berating yourself, when you're talking negatively at yourself, you're pouring toxins in your inner self, in your inner environment. So here's the shift. When the inner voice gets in your head and it gets mean, don't believe it. Rewrite it. Challenge it. Speak to yourself the way you speak to someone you love. I'm doing my best. I don't have to to know it all, but I'm going to take the next step. I'm proud of me for showing up today. You can't bully yourself into greatness, but you can encourage yourself there. That's how you build unshakable confidence, how you get that unshakable belief that something is possible, that you are possible, that I am possible. I'm possible, not impossible. I am possible. What is that thing that you want? Talk yourself into it, not out of it. I bumped into a friend today, and I believe that she needed to hear all of these things. She was tired. She'd been working incredibly hard. She looked like she just needed a big hug. And this podcast is for you, and I know you listen. So number one, let's recap. It's okay not to have it all figured out. You grow into clarity. Confidence comes after action, not before. You'll become more confident each time you take the steps to do the thing that you want to do. So just keep taking those steps. And remember, create that action plan. What is it that you really want? What is it? What's that thing? So where you're stuck, where you're stumbling, where you're not sure, where you're questioning yourself, take a step back. What is it that I want? What's my reality? What do I need to do? Like, what's going on here? Ask yourself that. Take the first step, because immediately when you ask yourself that question, you will think to yourself, oh, I actually want X. Then go make X happen. I had a story that I was telling myself all week about something that was too big for me. And I had a deadline, which was today. And it was stressing me out. And in true captain mode, the captain, when they're under pressure, they become pushy, they become impatient. They aren't nice people. And I felt like I was just under too much pressure over the last few days because the deadline was today. And even though I love a deadline and I work to one, it was just too big. And I'd given the task, the thing I needed to have done by today, the project, I'd given it way too big a space. It wasn't as big as I thought. And I actually got it done. And the relief after that, but I hadn't sat back early enough and thought, what's my reality? What do I want here? I hadn't done that early enough. And all I wanted was to get that completed and send it in. Because the next step after that is, what's my execution? What is it that I need to do? What is my doing step? What is that first thing? I knew what I wanted, but I hadn't looked at it and become clear about it. I didn't really know what steps. And that was probably what was sending me into that captain tailspin of craziness and that bullshit behavior. And then I really had to just take actions, just action. And it was really quite simple. And I wish I hadn't left it to the last minute. And I'd given it all those excuses, as I always do, and maybe you do too, that I was too busy to get to it, and I would when I finally had the space for it. But it got to the point where I had to create the space, and other things that I was putting in front of it had to get pushed to the side. So had I done that a week ago, it would have been so much less stressful. So maybe you're doing that in your world as well. Maybe you're not taking those actions. Maybe you're thinking you have to have it all figured out. But remember what I'm saying. You will become more confident after you take action. So it's okay not to have everything all figured out. You will get there, but stand back and ask yourself, what's my reality? What is my reality? And, what do I need to execute? What do I need to do? What action do I need to take? Now, also, not everyone needs to approve your choices. Seriously, the right people don't flinch when you shine. And then when I saw my friend today, and she just felt like going home. In fact, that was the second person that I talked to today, a female that just said they just had enough. They wanted to go home and just switch off and watch Netflix. And I think that sometimes we're under so much pressure to complete things, to do the things that other people expect for us to be doing. Maybe we work and we're expected that house should be tidy and we get all our work done and all the washing should be up to date and everything should be done and we should be perfect and the children are organized. And oh my gosh. Sometimes I feel like when we're not doing that, we might be criticizing ourselves as well, which falls into number 4, how we speak to ourselves. But maybe are we giving ourselves enough approval of our choices? Are we allowing ourselves that break? Do you allow yourself a break? Because maybe that's something that you need to think about and look at. Okay. And then the next one was the perfection, being the ultimate confidence killer. Done is better than perfect and messy is magic. I want you to take that. Messy is magic and done is better than perfect. But I say 80% done is better than 100% not started. And had I looked at the document and realized what had to be done, I wouldn't have got to that stressed place, which I very much got to. Today's been such a relief since I completed it. I've been like, oh my goodness, I feel so good having done the thing. So I want you to look at your life. What's that thing you're putting off? What are you avoiding? What are you waiting to be perfect at? Because remember, you're going to look back like I am today and say, hey, I wished I'd done that then. I wished I'd done those little things. I mean, I'm just reflecting now on today, but 10 years ago in the first half of the podcast, when I talked about that, when I did put stuff off all of the time because I thought I needed to be perfect. Oh my goodness. Can you see how I'm telling myself 10 years ago, but this applies to now. So, and this would be you too. You could be telling yourself, or maybe looking at somebody you know, or thinking, gosh, she's exactly right. I need to tell myself now, do the things that I'm not doing, because in 10 years' time, you're going to look back and wish that you did. So you can't build a life on self-criticism. How you speak to yourself is everything, absolutely everything. Be your own hype woman. Be your own Superman. Remember when you wake up in the mornings and put that imaginary Wonder Woman suit on, or that Superman suit, and just think, what are my superpowers today? You've got to encourage yourself into life, because you will spend so much time encouraging yourself out of things. And I've done this, like I mentioned, especially around social media. But what are you not doing that you want to do? Where are you criticizing yourself? Is it about anything that you do? Is it about the last reps you're not putting in at the gym? Is it about not having enough, not doing something, not having enough time to do things you're wanting to do, putting stuff in its place, but then, oh, you're just so not good at that. You're so useless. Like, what are the things that you say? I recently bumped into somebody and they just said to me, it was very recent, it was actually today, that they said to me, I just want to thank you so much for impacting a particular person's life. I just said, initially I thought, who are you? But I didn't even know. Then I clicked who they were and I was like, oh, you're welcome. And I didn't realize the impact that I would have. And it made me feel good when somebody recognized it, which is why at the end of the podcast, I always say, let somebody know how awesome that you think they are, because right now that made me feel good and my self-talk changed. It was like, oh, that was really nice of me. You know, that's really good that I had that experience, that I was able to do that for somebody else. And I was quite kind to myself. So remember, every time that you compliment somebody else, it makes them feel good. So remember, the more you do it, somebody's going to do it to you. We need to all do it. It needs to be a never-ending cycle where we pump each other up and be hype people for us. But we've got to learn to be our own hype person. And remember, you're allowed to evolve. This is the last one. I didn't really talk about it earlier. Evolve and leave that old version behind. Leave them there. And often that's the one that everyone else was comfortable around, and that's okay. Sometimes you've got to shed the skin. Sometimes it's time to move on. That's absolutely fine. Growth isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's important that we evolve, that we do leave people behind, that the people that want us to stay there and be comfortable with them, or maybe they've just evolved there, but you've got to evolve and be the person you want to be. And you've got to be really clear about who that person is. So I want you to get real about that. I want you to just think, what's relevant? Who do I want to be? What am I not doing? What do I want to do? What do I need to execute? What are the things that I'm going to have to do? What actions do I need to take now? And then leverage them and move forward in a way that only you know possible. So today, or actually no, not that you don't know possible. So leverage them in a way that leaves you feeling amazing and getting the results that you're after. And when I say leverage them, 1, feel how good they feel. 2, look at the connections you make. Like, leverage your life, leverage everything. But you're allowed to evolve and you're allowed to leave people behind. Oh my gosh, I've left about how many versions of Hilary there are. And I'm sure some people look and think, who do you think? So I know who I am. I know where I've grown. I know what I've done. And I like who I am. And I want to know if you like who you are too. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, growth isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's necessary for you to move forward and be the person that you are on the inside, because often on the inside we know what we're capable of and we don't do stuff because we're too scared to evolve, or we're talking to ourselves so negatively that we talk ourselves out of things, or we're waiting till we are perfect, or the time is perfect, or we're waiting for everyone to approve of what our choices are, or we think we have to have it all figured out. And so we don't take those steps. So my friends, as usual, I would love for you to subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube, and share this with somebody. Oh my goodness, share it. And then I'll be so excited. Also, text a friend. That's vital, and tell them how amazing they are. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye for now.